This is the Mardu Greasefang list. So first and foremost, I just want to start with 2 copies of Croxa, Titan of Death's Hunger. I know this is a powerful card, but when you play like white pathways, sometimes the Croxa can get stuck in your hand. Like you have to play it on white to cast Greasefang, and you might need to play it early as your second land, and then not necessarily know. I don't love Can't Stay Away in a deck that plays Croxa. You want Can't Stay Away in a deck that brings the thing back and it stays and it does something. Rafine's Informant might be a better choice than Croxa. Being able to immediately rummage is pretty decent when you have Parhelions in your deck. I would either do that or I would maybe replace one of them with a second Sky Sovereign. I think Sky Sovereign's excellent. And then also a second Lightning Axe. But I have been very impressed with Rafine's Informant in Pioneer. So if you are able to fit them in, I would recommend. Let's go ahead and let's check out, let's see. Let's see if we got any Mardu Greasefang lists on Goldfish that we can look at just to compare. Because there's gotta be a couple of key differences here, right? All right, so visual view. First thing I see, Seasoned Howlblade. This card's definitely legal in on Arena. This one could be good. I don't love Hazoret. I don't love Bone Crusher Giant. I do like Cathartic Pyre. Dreadbore kind of stinks. The Thoughtseize, the Fatal Pushes are good. So these versions are a lot more beatdown oriented, and so instead of playing Stitcher Supplier and Deadly Dispute, you actually have a solid plan B where you just beat down with your creatures. And if you use Rafine's Informant over Hazoret, Bone Crusher Giant, and Dreadbore, something like that, you can maybe make some space. The Deadly Disputes and Stitcher Supplier are fine. They'll definitely push you towards the Greasefang, and I think on Arena it's actually way better to Greasefang combo because I think there's actually less targeted spot removal that can kill Greasefang for cheap. So if you're just like comboing constantly with Greasefang, that's fine with Stitchers, Milling Over, and Deadly Dispute and the Can't Stay Aways, then by all means keep it going. But if you want to take it in another direction, I think the Seasoned Howlblades and Rafine's Informant builds could give you some other things to work with. With that said, let's go ahead and start. All right, so let's talk about this opener. So we got 3 land, Can't Stay Away, Stitcher Supplier, Sky Sovereign. This seems like a pretty easy keep. Why can't I remove this? Oh, it's because it's on their recording, I think. That's fine. So we have Concealed Courtyard, Blightstep, Blood Crypt, 2 Can't Stay Away, Stitchers, and Sky Sovereign. I think here we just kind of hope that our Stitchers carries, but I think this is an okay keep. It's not great because we only have the one thing that actually mills, but like you do have a mill and you have a Can't Stay Away and you have a bunch of draw steps. So I think that this is okay to keep. It's definitely not explosive, but the top of your deck's going to need to give you some help at some point, So we drew another Stitchers. It's actually a great draw. As far as lands to lead with, I'd probably just lead with Courtyard. Since next turn you can maybe play another Stitchers and a tap Blood Crypt. Sequencing lands is pretty tough sometimes. It looks like we're playing against Blue-White Control. I'm going to go ahead and put this on 1.25 speed. Apologies if that's too fast. I'll slow it down if it seems like. So we milled over Parhelion. Now we just need to find a Greasefang, and our Can't Stay Aways are turned on completely. And our counter spells are going to be harder for them to punch through everything. All right, Portable Hole on our thing. That's fine. So we do have the Parhelion. So this seems like a pretty easy supplier tap land turn. No targets for push. Can't Stay Away. Doesn't target anything. Opponent with full control mode on or something. Maybe they have March. I guess they have March because it's giving them priority to remove their Portable Hole. So that's another thing that Arena does as far as info leak is concerned. This is for you, Devin. So if your opponent is getting past priority back to them multiple times with only 1 mana open, that means that they have a thing to do with 1 mana. So it's your goal is to find out what is that 1 mana thing that you're trying to do or that they have, and that 1 mana thing is very likely March. Could also be Censor. It could be. It could be Censor as well. It could be any cycler. All right, so we drew Blackline Pathway. Our hand is pretty bad at this point. Nothing in the graveyard for Can't Stay Away. This is actually probably where I would go for a push on my own Stitcher Supplier. There's not a ton of targets for it in against our opponent. You know, maybe just Shark Typhoon tokens or whatever. Uh, Heather, you're gonna have to understand that this is a video review. Okay. I don't know why they chose the deck, but this is the deck that they chose. This is a video review. All right, so I think this is an attack for 1, and then we should fatal push our own thing, and then probably can't stay away if we hit anything. But we should have done it pre-combat in case they don't have absorb, and in case we hit Greasefang and want a Parhelion. So I do like the fatal push, but we need to basically burn through their counter spells, and so if you hit, you need to do it now. Alternatively, I don't hate the play of kill it on your instep and then go for double can't stay away if you actually do hit. Oh, do we have a basic land in our deck? Maybe they don't know that, but we do not. Oh, we have a mountain. Okay. Mountain's actually really bad for can't stay away, though. So here I would definitely EOT push my own supplier. I think that was a mistake. You have to get aggressive, and I like this the lead up you were setting up to, where you go for push my own thing into a can't stay away if you find it. But here, you know, I think just attacking for 1 is just not going to end up doing much of anything. Cathartic Pyre seems amazing. Yeah, Cathartic Pyre could be good. Cool addition. Milling over 2 Thoughtseizes with Stitcher Supplier is always a big bummer, especially against decks like this. After sideboard, though, we get to get all of our removal spells out. Okay, so they cycled Censor, so that's good. That means that they might not have March. That might have been the card that we were worried about earlier when they were gaining priority back. Yeah, here, so now you see it, but you should have done it last turn because you had the chance to go for double can't stay away in the face of a single counter spell. All right, top 3 go. Let's see if we can hit the Greasefang. We didn't hit Greasefang, but we did hit a creature, and we'll probably bring that back. Now, if you wanted to just cast a Sky Sovereign to just get something onto the table, I wouldn't hate it. It does cost 5 mana. It doesn't kill anything, but it can start attacking for 6 next turn. And this is another reason why you maybe should have pushed the turn before, because you had the ability to do whatever. Playing this on red is bad because the Field of Ruin unlocks red, and your deck is mostly black and white with just Fable and Lightning Axe and Croxa. And the Croxa might need the double red, but they're not going to target red. They'll target white or black. So you can play this as white, I guess. Red's fine too, but because they have the Field of Ruin, the Field of Ruin kind of represents an extra red mana. All right, we're going to put them on 1.5. Looks like we're going to go for a can't stay away on the supplier. This is actually a pretty cool play. I like this. This is going to give you an extra look to find the Greasefang. Didn't find the Greasefang, so now we just bring back a Blood Tithe Harvester, I think, since we didn't find Greasefang. It costs 5 on flashback. I don't mind burning these here to put some pressure on our opponent. You don't want to let them just be able to use their mana at instant speed. They're very good at being able to use their mana at instant speed. So you want to basically do that at all points. Okay, Deadly Dispute, pretty good draw. We get to sack our Stitcher Supplier and mill for 3. Oh, no, actually, sorry. It doesn't mill for 3 because of the Can't Stay Away. The Can't Stay Away has that extra clause where if it dies, it gets exiled. And Stitcher Supplier is actually a little awkward with exiling. So, never mind. We did get to draw 2, but we didn't get to mill 3. It's a little awkward, but that's just the way the cards are built. All right, so we drew another Blood Tithe. So now we can go Blood Tithe, land, Can't Stay Away a Blood Tithe, and actually put some amount of pressure on them. And then they're probably going to have to Wrath this next turn with some kind of Wrath. But I don't hate the Blood Tithe Harvester. I mean, I like putting 2 Blood Tithe Harvesters on the table, but if you want to hold the Can't Stay Away for a Greasefang, that's fine. I just don't think that at this point, like, the flashback is just going to force a counterspell anyway. And you have to draw another land and be able to mill over Greasefang to be able to double Can't Stay Away in the same turn. I would definitely pop Blood Token and pitch Fatal Push, or pitch Sky Sovereign. Maybe just cast Sky Sovereign. It's not that bad either. Cast Sky Sovereign seems okay. All right, let's see if they have the counterspell. Another Blood Tithe Harvester. That's fine. I don't really want to push this token, even though it represents 3 damage. I might want to play another Blood Tithe Harvester. Attack is definitely coming. Fun. Took the damage. That means they're planning to double block next turn with 2 Castle Ardenvale tokens. So you should play your other Blood Tithe Harvester, even if it burns your treasure. If they're planning on blocking, that means they might not have the Wrath. Yeah, what's up, Broadside? Doing a little coaching sesh. All right, so now if they do make the Castle Ardenvale and double block, you can push. This is honestly one of my biggest qualms with Can't Stay Away, is that we've just, you know, gone through most of our deck, or it's actually my qualm with Greasefang, sorry, is that we've just gone through so much of our deck and just haven't been able to do what we want to do, you know? Yo, RJ Rankin, thanks for 12 months. Let's happy 12 months. Play it, win this game for me. Oh, we're just doing a video review. We're not watching. Okay, so this Greasefang, this is actually kind of funny. So we can push our own Greasefang because we popped a blood token this turn, I think. And then we can, this is still during main 1. And then we can Can't Stay Away it. And this will keep it from getting exiled too. So this is a smart play. If they have a counter spell, they may use it here because they're afraid, but Can't Stay Away on the Greasefang here could be pretty good too. We have just enough mana to do it, and if it works, then we get to bring back Parhelion, and they only have 3 cards in hand, so even if it gets countered, we have 2 Can't Stay Away in the graveyard, so they have to have a counter spell next turn and the turn after. We have double white, so the Field of Ruin can't knock us off of white. I think this actually might be game. I think our opponent might have got bottlenecked. All right, so let's move to combat. Let's see if our opponent has a second answer. They had the March for the first iteration. Let's see if they have another thing. It's just Otawara? That's such good news for us. That means the world for us. All right, nice. Refund then? Oh, sorry. Yalbalski, I don't think it's that good. I think Grizzly Salvage is just better because it does both halves. Mills and fines, and I don't think you can afford to play both. It's too much air if you play both. All right, so Greasefang gonna get cast here. I'd probably tap the red source. I don't think it matters that much. Greasefang. Let's see if they drew a counterspell. They didn't, so let's move to combat. Okay, we're gonna get back Parhelion, and then we're gonna crew it with the Greasy Boy, and let's see if they have Settle the Wreckage or something, huh? They might have Settled the Wreckage, but we still have more shit going on, so it's not too bad. I would attack with basically just Parhelion since it's lethal. And if they have Settle, yeah, this is a good attack. If they have Settle, they either take 8 and give you a land, or they give you 3 lands. But you actually don't have that many basics, so it would just be 1. So I like the play of only attacking with a 1. Okay, so let's look at sideboard here. We'll talk about what should come in and what should come out. For this matchup, I'm bringing in 2 copies of Duress, 2 copies of Go Blank. I think I also want 2 or 3 copies of Vanishing Verse. This is going to help us against Rest in Peace, which I'm not sure if is even legal. But if they have some sort of graveyard hate, the Vanishing Verse should be able to deal with it. I think Rest in Peace is legal, but I'm not 100% if they have it on Arena or not. What's coming out? The Lightning Axe, the Fatal Pushes for sure. That's 5. So that's what, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ribbon's legal on Arena. Okay, cool. So I would cut the Sky Sovereign, the 4 Fatal Push, the Axe. That's 6. So we got to cut 1 more. Maybe 1 copy of Deadly Dispute. Seems okay. I don't love, even though it has Flash, I don't love the Wandering Emperor. Cletus is weak. They have some graveyard elements, but not enough for Hearst to be good. He's looking at artifacts for a Braid. Don't get tricked into bringing in a Braid against the Portable Hold deck. It's not going to do you well. Let's see how they sideboard. Final configuration looks like only 1 Duress is coming in. Get the Lightning Axe out. Get the Sky Sovereign out. Get in more Duress. Get in some more Vanishing Verse to help out against Rip. Vanishing Verse is basically there just to kill Rip after board. How? Read the thing, man. It's a video review. Video review, my friend. Wow, Recipes was an Omnicat? Did not know that. I thought it was like a masterpiece or something. I didn't think it was legal. All right, so duress here can take a number of things. Let's figure out what I would actually want to take. So against your deck specifically, I don't think that Teferi is that good, but Teferi is their engine that wins them the game. I think it's really between Teferi and Dovin's Veto. I think taking either one of those is fine. Dovin's Veto actually doesn't have a ton of great targets. So I would maybe just take the Teferi. But I think you have a lot of defensible takes here. The Verdict can sweep you up and like ruin your early aggression. The Shark Typhoons can act as a threat that cycles or a blocker that cycles. Teferi is the big bad though. Teferi plus untap and 2 or 3 mana counterspell is usually how they win the game. Verdict sweeping up your little guys is pretty powerful too. I probably would just took Teferi. The Wrath isn't that big of a deal. Neither is the Veto. All right, so we drew Can't Stay Away. I think here we just go for a Croxa. And the next turn we play Blightstep on red and we play Croxa. And then next turn Need a Verge on white. No, that doesn't work either. Maybe we just double Stitcher Supplier. This is why pathways can be awkward sometimes. They just they're just a little wonky with all these different mana pips. And this is another reason why I don't love Croxa in the deck, just because it's so hard on both ends to cast on your pathways. You thought I got a reprint when they changed this wording. How'd they change this wording? I don't actually know. All right. Opponent discards the planes, Croxa down. Thoughtseize is a heater of a draw. Unfortunately, we don't have enough black mana to do much of anything. You can't stay away the Croxa here, but I think that's just bad. I would just Stitcher. I also would have just played it as black, I think. So you could just, or Pillar, is this red white? Yeah, I think maybe this should have been red last turn, but I don't know. It's an ETB now? It was always an ETB. All right, so you drew Lightning Axe in a situation where it's horrible, and your hand is just gummed up because of your pathways. And this is mostly because of Croxa, but also because Lightning Axe shouldn't be in your deck. But if the black-red pathway that's on red was on black, we'd be able to cast more spells. And the Croxa incentivizes you to play it on red. So this is why we're losing. Gotta hit the camera just right? Yeah, I agree. All right, so we got a veto on the Thoughtseize, but our turn is basically dissolved, right? Because we just don't have anything to do. So we have the axe that we can use to target a shark, but it just doesn't do a ton. Now Teferi coming down, and you really wish that the discard spell had hit Teferi instead of Verdict, huh? And you really wish you didn't have this Lightning Axe in your deck, huh? All things to understand that when you play against control, you need to be able to use all your mana. You need to make sure you don't have dead cards. And in this situation, you have both dead cards and unable to use mana. It's a really strange feeling to be unable to cast your bad spells. You know what I mean? So here we're going to mill 3, find a Sky Sovereign. Still not doing much of anything. We're going to start trying to chop down Teferi. I don't actually know what the right attack is. I think it might be Stitchers in case you ever get to Sky Sovereign the Teferi. Or it might be Stitchers at Teferi in case you ever get to Sky Sovereign it. But I think at this point the game is just over because you didn't take Teferi with the discard spell. And because of the Lightning Axe draw. And because of the sequencing of mana. So a lot of stuff happened that went badly. And we could have done something about it if we had made some different decisions along the way. But hey, that's why we're here. All right, so the Teferi is going to keep grinding us to dust. We need to draw something to pressure here. The mountain's okay. It allows us to Croxa from graveyard, so that's probably going to be the play. Let's see if they have a counterspell. We're gonna remove everything except for Croxa and Can't Stay Away, and hopefully some of the vehicles if they're in there. We got a decent amount of stuff. All right, we have just 5 that's not any of that, so that's great. It's probably gonna get countered, but if it doesn't, we'll see. We'll get a card out of them and hopefully a removal spell too. Absorb on our Croak, so that's bad news, Bears. I think both attacking Teferi is defensible, but I feel like they should have all been going at Teferi the whole time. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially in the face of things like Absorb. You know, maybe they even have Dream Trawler after sideboard or something. Dream Trawler just can gain them some life. Hey, speak of the devil, and he shall appear. All right, so now we get to untap 2, and then they're going to hold up Absorb or Veto or something. So we're in some deep doo-doo. Yeah, the game is basically over. We're going to see if you can try to claw your way out of it, but I've never beaten a Dream Trawler that got to untap. And 3 cards in hand means 3 pieces of protection. The Teferi has 3 more loyalty than it should, so we can't quite chop it down in any meaningful way. Takenuma doesn't do enough either, because we're not going to have mana to do much of anything. Yeah. Easy concession. I like the concession. All right, let's see if you make any sideboard changes here. So we're still going to leave in the Lightning Axe. We're still going to leave in the Sky Sovereign. These are 2 that I think that can come out for Vanishing Verses and another Duress. And then you can just trim like Dealer's Choice on the other card. But this is the type of matchup where you want your Duresses. So if you're only going to bring in 1 in the matchup, you shouldn't be playing a second copy. Viper, thanks for the follow. All right, so we're going to be on the play here for game number 3. Our opener is a dumpster of a 1-lander. Easy mull. All right, we got 2 lands. Stitchers, Can't Stay Away, Go Blank, Fable, and whatever. We have it. This is a great hand. We're going to keep. What do we put back? My gut says Can't Stay Away. Or my gut says Go Blank, right? Because we have the potential nut draw of turn 1 Stitchers, turn 2 Can't Stay Away if we get super lucky. And even if we just hit like Blood Tithe Harvester, it might behoove us to go ahead and just play the Can't Stay Away while the getting's good, you know? So my vote would be to put back a Go Blank. I like Fable. This is a very pressure dense hand, and Go Blank is often weak when you're combining it with pressure, whereas things like Duress are better when you're applying it with pressure. I think putting back Blood Tithe Harvester is a big mistake. I think it's one of your easiest ways to win a fair game in the matchup. Now, if you don't ever plan on winning a fair game, that's fine. Here we have the turn 2 Reanimate Greasefang. I like it. I want to go ahead and get it into play. They don't have a ton of ways to deal with it that aren't pitch cards with March, other than counterspells. So I like just getting it onto the table. We're going to go for a Thoughtseize instead, but I think the pressure was more important. Now here I think the Supreme Verdict is maybe better. Because if you wanted to Can't Stay Away, you would want to. But if you're not going to Can't Stay Away on a dry board, then maybe not. Maybe we just take Absorb. Memory Deluge is fine. I would not take Dream Trawler. I would not take Censor. I guess Censor protects you if you draw the land for Fable. And Fable's pretty good here. Or Go Blank. Yeah, now we're just kind of boned. This should definitely be a Reanimate Greasefang situation since we have the backup Greasefang. But this definitely should have happened last turn, so you could be attacking for 5. So this is just, I wouldn't say poor sequencing. It's just unfortunate we didn't draw the land. But I do think that my play was stronger, but not by a lot. If you don't draw the 3rd land, it doesn't really matter. And here we go, another dead Lightning Axe. We got to get this card out of our deck against decks that have very few to no creatures. It's just, even if they have like 1/1s or whatever to target, Lightning Axe's strength is its ability to kill creatures, and the upside is the discard. Yeah, what's up, Sepsis Bear? How you doing today? All right, opponent draws another Censor and decides to cycle it. I guess the Censor is a defensible pick because it also keeps them from cycling and maybe finding the 4th land. All right, let's see if they have the 2nd white for the verdict. We're just doing a video replay, Destructo. We're not actually doing the damn thing, you know? All right, Weathered Runestone. So if this is the hate card they're bringing, then that means our Vanishing Verses are bad. And if our Vanishing Verses are bad in this matchup, then the Vanishing Verses shouldn't be in the deck. They should be anything else. All right, well, now they have verdicts, and our Greasefangs don't do much of anything. I don't even think we brought in a Braid or any way to actually kill the Weathered Runestone. So we're going to have to beat them with good old-fashioned damage, since Runestone keeps us from doing much of anything. All right, shields are down, but I think we're just going to lose this long game. All right, so we did bring in the Vanishing Verse. It's such a bummer that it's Weathered Runestone instead of Rest in Peace. But maybe that's the tech. Maybe because Weathered Runestone gets around Vanishing Verse, you know, that's just going to be a more common thing. In Pioneer, people just play Rest in Peace. So maybe the people on Arena are smarter, because that's a pretty nice juke, and it's one that gets around your thing pretty well. The Greasefang decks don't see a ton of play on in Pioneer, so I think the Rest in Peace is just a better broad answer to things like Phoenix. Whereas Weather Runestone doesn't stop Treasure Cruise, but Treasure Cruise is not even on Arena, so. All right, so we're gonna discard Parhelion. I would discard the Axe as well. It's been dead for a while. It's been dead for 2 games. Should have been out of the deck in the first place. The Dream Trawler, it's not going to kill the Dream Trawler ever, right? They just will always have cards to discard. I do like discarding the Vanishing Verse, actually. That makes sense. All right, so let's declare an attack and see if we can get a treasure. And then we'll figure it out after that. The Greasefang can't bring anything back, so it doesn't matter. If we attack, we can double Croxa, I think, on the backside. We might be a red short. Okay, let's see if they minus or make a 2/2. If they make a 2/2, we might get an Axe in here. Okay, so they exile. That's fine. We can maybe axe our own thing and then use the treasures to play the Croxa. I think we're good. I think we can double Croxa. I think we got 3 red and 3 black, and that's enough to double Croxa. That's going to force them to discard 2 cards. Yeah, Diabetes. I think so too. I think that because Treasure Cruise doesn't exist, there's very little reason to play Rest in Peace over Weathered Runestone, especially because the Greasefang decks often play Vanishing Verse. Okay, so we're going for the go blank here. You're trying to constrict the cards for Dream Trawler. I actually don't mind this play. It also exiles that thing they had. My problem is that they're keeping the Absorb, and you did not get the Croxa. Oh, the Croxa can't come back. I'm an idiot. The Weathered Runestone stops the Croxa. That's fine. So ignore everything I said about the previous turns. That happens a lot where I just talk through plays. I see sequences, but then they just can't happen because of something that's in play. So if I ever do that, I apologize in advance. It's just going to happen when I just try to talk about everything. So the Runestone shut down the Croxa return. That's fine. The Go Blank was definitely a solid play there. So now we get a flipped Fable on the Reflection. They have 4 lands. The Absorb is going to counter most things here. I would probably actually just lean on Croxa into Greasefang. Greasefang into Croxa is also fine too. I don't think it really matters. You're going to be using all your mana here to do both, since you only have the 1 red and only 5 mana. You don't want to go Harvester Croxa. I think that's a little inefficient. The Reflection here going to do some serious damage with the Bloodtithe Harvester next turn. Opponent far enough behind where they feel like they need to go ahead and do that. I would maybe have noggin whacked them with the Croxa instead of playing Bloodtithe, so that next turn you could Bloodtithe into copy and then kill the 2/2. Maybe you could just do it anyway. I just wanted to noggin whack them when they only had 2 cards. They had to choose between the Dream Trawler and the other card in hand. When I say noggin whack, I mean discard. That's an old Magic card. 1 black, noggin whack, make them discard. All right, so Harvester, copy. Let's use that to kill the 2/2. And then attack seems good. You can play around another Wandering Emperor, which I thought they might have because they immediately minus to make a 2/2 on the Wandering Emperor. But maybe that's just because they couldn't protect it. Fable here is pretty decent. Forces them to have another counterspell. They have Deluge, not counterspell. That's good news for us. We might be able to grind through them here, but if they have a Wrath effect, we're in bad shape. The Dream Trawler is getting more and more scary. Fateful Absence on the Fable. We still have an attack for 5 coming. Oh, this Thought Seizes. Clutch. Let's discard Lightning Axe only. I want to discard Lightning Axe only. The Croxa can actually just constrict their resources for the Dream Trawler now. This seems like a fine bait spell, right? If they have a counter spell, you want them to burn it. I would attack before I cast Thoughtseize or Stitchers. All right, so they're letting us hit them for 5. I think a Thoughtseize here is pretty good. If they have veto into land Dream Trawler, we're in trouble. Although actually we're not in trouble because we can use Blood Tithe Harvester to target the Dream Trawler and they have to pitch to tap it. All right, so here we take Settle the Wreckage and we beat Dream Trawler. We take Settle the Wreckage and we beat Dream Trawler. Casting Dream Trawler does nothing. Settle the Wreckage stops our attack next turn. Fateful Absence does nothing. If they Fateful Absence and then go land Dream Trawler, they can no longer attack for the win. Or sorry, they can no longer protect it. They'll have no cards in hand. So now we should play the Stitchers as well. And then if they play Dream Trawler, they have to discard a card. We can actually just attack them to death because it taps it. So it seems like we were able to draw out of a pretty bad spot with this Weathered Runestone shutting down most of our stuff. Our plan B working out pretty well here. Wouldn't mind going Croak's Harvester, though. Yeah, I think that would have been fine, too. Okay, so they go for the Fateful Absence. That means they're looking for a removal spell, because land on Dream Trawler doesn't actually do it. Because they won't have a card in hand to discard. So now they're just hoping we don't attack, and they are repping a Settle, but we have to attack. We could pop 1 blood token to look for a Thoughtseize to make sure the coast is clear. This Courtyard can go. I'm not playing Arena. I'm doing a coaching session. This is a replay. Can y'all read the chat or read the description, please? All right, well, we just drew 1,000,000 lands in a row. But we're able to churn through all of them. Looking for a Duress or a Thoughtseize. We didn't find it, so I think now we just attack. And we attack with everything in case they have Shark Typhoon. There's no reason to give them... Okay, so they have Castle Ardenvale to chump block. This gives them another turn. They go to 2 life. We have Fable. I don't think we play the Fable. I think we wait in case they Wrath. Wrath is like one of their only ways out. And you already have enough pressure to get around the Wrath. So I think playing the Fable is a mistake. If they have a Wrath, the game keeps going. But you're very unlikely to win. But maybe that's the case no matter what. So maybe playing it's fine. All right, GG. I think you played decently. I think that there's some sideboard issues that we can shore up, but I've already gone over those. A couple of sequencing misplays, in my opinion, but they didn't seem to punish you too badly. And a lot of times in a deck like this, the sequencing matters quite a bit, especially when you're playing stuff like Greasefang. So just keep that in mind. All right, this is a pretty stinky one-lander. I mean, this is a pretty good one-lander, but it is a one-lander, so I think we mulligan. If we don't draw the second land on turn 2, I think we lose the game. We do have 3 good 1-drop black cards, though, so if you kept it, I wouldn't hate you for it, but I would recommend against. Tank, 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 tank. All right, another one-lander. This is an easy ship. This is much worse than the original hand because our land even enters tapped. So mulligan to 5. Don't be afraid to mulligan with this deck. This deck mulligans pretty well. This is a pretty bad 5, but I would probably keep this 5 because we just have mana and Stitchers and Takenuma. So we can go turn 1 Stitchers. You know, maybe we Takenuma later on. If you go to 4, though, I don't hate it either. You know, you can maybe find a better 4. This is a better 4. This is fine. So now we put back probably Fatal Push, Sky Sovereign, and Can't Stay Away, and we just keep 2 land double Blood Tithe and hope it gets good enough. All right, you're putting back 2 Blood Tithe. That's okay, too. I don't love it, but it is what it is. You're on 4. Yeah, Fable's great. So I'm assuming that you're going to lose this game. Mulliganing to 4 is really rough. Opponent takes Blood Tithe Harvester or can't stay away. Next turn, you can just cast either one. If they take Blood Tithe, you go Blight Step on black, can't stay away to bring it back. If they take the can't stay away, you just play Blight Step on red and play Harvester. All right, on turn 2, we have one card in hand because we mulligan to 4. Unfortunate. We'll see if we can get our way out of it, though. Sparring Vantage. Third land is fine. I think this is attack for 3 into main phase Deadly Dispute on the Blood token. They go for Stomp. This is a really big misplay from our opponent. Whenever you're playing against a deck that could have a sack effect or even a removal spell, you just main phase your Bone Crusher Giants. Just main phase them, man. You know? You're going to do it. Just freaking kill it. It's not like they're going to play a pump spell or whatever. They're just going to attack. All right. So here, I think we actually just pitch the Fatal Push. I guess waiting is fine because if you draw the, I would probably cast Greasefang here, as weird as that sounds, and just hope that they don't have anything. I don't love hitting this Trespasser. I like just waiting. But I guess maybe it's too much damage to wait. This is a really aggressive line, but because you're on so low resources, I kind of like this line. If they have the answer to Greasefang, you lose anyway. But if they don't, and you get lucky and draw Parhelion, you still have your Blood token too. So I don't know. This seems fine. When it plays Blood Tithe, let's see if they have the answer to Greasefang. They might with the Blood token now. Oh my god, what a fucking juicer of a hit! Let's see if this works. Let's see if this works. Can we win on a Mulligan to 4, chat? Please tell me this is going to work. Holy shit. I cannot believe this worked. That's so crazy. Well played. Use every piece of the Buffalo on this one. Opponent is completely dead. We can even reanimate our 3-2 if we want to. I probably would just to max pressure them. My name's Max. Max pressure. That also gives us a blood token so that we can pitch Parhelion. Assuming that we saw Blood Tithe Harvester in the graveyard. It might have got eaten by the Trespasser. I don't think so though. Magic skill based game for sure. I mean it is. Like they literally played to their outs and they hit it. Alright, so for sideboarding in this matchup, this is Rakdos mid. They're just gonna be the most generic, straightforward garbage possible. They're just gonna have tons of discard and go blanks and things that eat the graveyard. Unlicensed Hearst, whatever. I think in the matchup, because you know they probably have Hearst, I like the Braids. I don't hate the Go Blanks because they're 2-for-1s, but they don't really use their graveyard that much, and I don't know that Mine Rot's that great. I would probably board out most or all of my Fatal Pushes and just not try to kill their creatures much. Versus seem pretty good too. Yeah, most of their cards are monocolored, except for their 2-mana 3-2. Everything else it kills. It doesn't kill Hearst though, which is somewhat shitty. I don't know. I might want to go a little bigger with Wandering Emperor too if you want to try to win a fair game. I just don't know how easy it is to win a fair game against them after sideboard when they have so much stuff. Yeah, trimming on Fatal Push makes sense. I don't love trimming Thoughtseize because they're always going to hold up some sort of removal to kill Greasefang. And Thoughtseize is just your preemptive way to deal with that. I would never bring in Hearst in the matchup. Even if they have Croxa, it's just not good enough. It just doesn't do much of anything against them. Alright, so we got some lands, Axe, Fable. This is a pretty easy keep. Alright. First land only matters for Lightning Axe. But you don't have anything to pitch yet. You might want to play it just to kill something, but maybe not. Alright. I would probably go ahead and just Courtyard here. Like, you're Sacred Foundry can enter untapped later, and if you draw another like Courtyard or whatever, you don't want your lands to enter tapped later, and your life total matters a little. But I think I would have probably just played Courtyard. I would kill this in a turn with an axe. You're never gonna get the value because of Hearse, so I think axe just discard mountain seems fine. All right, now I'll just go for Fable, Fable, Fable. You know, Fable, Fable, Fable. All right, so our opponent's Hearse is basically shutting off our Okibas. We can't really do much in that vein until the Hearse is dead. So for game number 3, just make sure that we're bringing in a Braid to kill it. You know what I mean? Because we should have known, but because you didn't bring it in, it is very problematic, and we can't even deal with it at all. I don't think so. All right, so this is an easy attack into another Fable, but I mean we're just maybe gonna grind him out with Fable here. This seems pretty good. Next turn we can, I think we can go discard Croxa and another card, and then just escape Croxa. I don't know how many cards we have in graveyard though. And I guess 2 more are getting eaten, so maybe not. Okay, never mind. We don't have enough. It's fine. Fable doing Fable things. One's about to transform. The other's about to let us loot away some Garbo. I would probably just keep the Greasefangs because they're just 3 mana 4/3s later on. But our opponent seems like they just don't have much of anything going on. Glorbringer's pretty good. Glorebringer leaves them vulnerable to a lot of stuff, though. No Exert. I think that's a pretty weak play from them. Alright, I would still just discard Parhelion. You're never going to get use out of it. And I would probably discard Greasefang as well. To show them that if they didn't have the Hearse, they're just going to get pummeled. Alright, so this is probably an attack with 2 creatures to 4. And then we just go Fable plus Akiba Gang Boss. We just use all our mana and put as much pressure on them as we can. I think I do want to go ahead and burn my treasures, though, and just get a Greasefang on the table. I don't love doing the Croxa. If they're not careful, at some point you may be able to double Croxa them, or you may be able to Croxa to dumb them for 3 if they don't have an extra, if they don't hold a land, or if they, play out all their hand, you can use it as a burn spell. That's funny, they have Noxious Grass for our Greasefangs, but our Greasefangs are dead. Alright. I think a lot of us thought Fable was a little weak, Janini, but after seeing it played like one time at that Mythic Championship, I was sold. Anger of the Gods and all our little guys. That makes a lot of sense for how they sequence and how they played the game. They were just kind of waiting for the best moment to play it. Here, we're in a lot of trouble now. We're going to take a hit for 10, and we don't really have a way out. That's game. We get one more loot, but Thoughtseize push. Yeah. This is why I don't love push. A lot of their cards cost 3+, so you have to even Revolta most of the time. You definitely want these 2 braids. The Hearse is going to own you. This is why they're in the sideboard. Okay. I like Thoughtseize over Fatal Push, especially when you know they have Anger of the Gods after sideboard too. Alright, opener. Another one-lander. This deck seems to have a lot of one-landers. I might consider adding a second or even 2 more lands. I feel like most of the games you lose is because you're mulliganing one-landers or just getting stuck on 2 land. The Fables do a lot of work in helping make up for flooding, and so because of that, I think you should just lean heavier on the lands. Mulligan to 5 here. We did win on a mull to 4. I would put back Parhelion and a land, probably. Daily Dispute's okay, too. Trying to keep the Parhelion to cheese with the Greasefang is fine. This is the difference between the Mardu one and the Abzan one, though. The Abzan one's good at putting it into the graveyard from your deck, whereas the Mardu one's good at putting it into the graveyard from play. Fable, maybe the perfect draw. I don't think we go for Go Blank yet. Fable just seems like an easy play. Then we just pitch Parhelion and something else, maybe even the Deadly Dispute, depending. Opponent very likely going to kill our token. Maybe because of that, we should have played the Go Blank, but because this gives them a window to just cast Bone Crusher for full value over a full turn cycle. Whereas Go Blank doesn't let them use the 2 mana. Interesting choice, but I don't mind playing the Fable, but the texture of the game is such that you haven't forced them to do anything yet, and so you're just basically giving them carte blanche to just resolve a 3-drop, you know? But you're doing that anyway. So here you just pitch Go Blank, Deadly Dispute, and you just gamble and hope you draw a Greasefang. And now with the Fable, you just pitch Parhelion. I would pitch a Braid too. You just want to put both in the yard and get lucky. We didn't find it, but we found another Fable, so we can do it again. I like your thought process. I like your sequencing so far. Not a whole lot of decisions to be made in this game. On a multi-5, low in resources, opponent needs to find a way to stop Parhelion in the graveyard. We have a Fable trigger coming, a Fable flipping. We know they have anger after sideboard, so we have to be wary of that, but we'll see if we can just kind of grind them out with these Fables. Fable offering a lot of virtual and actual card advantage from being 2 threats in 1, allowing us to turn weak or dead cards into real spells. We found the Greasefang, chat. I think this might be money. We can discard another Parhelion. We found a land, but that's nothing. Might as well go ahead and play it, I guess. Maybe hold it. All right, let's Greasefang them up. Let's see if we win. Not a whole lot of 2-mana removal spells that kill it here in Pioneer or Explorer. I think this is just money. I think we're just good. They have Heartless Act. That's one you don't see a ton of. That's unfortunate. We have a lot of outs, though. A lot of ways to get around it. I would play the land because we can start doing the Fable tricks next turn, and if we draw a land, we can do more. The Fable trick, in case you don't know, chat, during your opponent's end step, you can just activate Reflection targeting another Reflection, and then that one has haste and can activate targeting other reflections, and then you get to untap with like 5 reflections. All right, here comes Glory Banger. That's going to exert and kill our reflection. Not a lot we can do about it. And we're just going to have to hope to draw a Greasy Boy. All right, it's got to be Greasy Boy. It's Croxa. Not good enough. Their thing is exerted. We're lacking red mana. This is the reason why Croxa, I think, is lackluster in the deck. We're in another spot where the Croxa just can't even come back. They're going to go ahead and burn the Anger of the Gods. Okay. All right, if we draw a red source here for the Croxa, we're in business. We drew the Greasefang. Let's see if it fires up. Let's see if they have another Heartless Act or something similar. If they don't, we're in business. Oh, no, really in the tank? They have the other Heartless Act. What a sicko. What a sicko, chat. All right, so here they're going to attack for 4 and play Bone Man more than likely. They can put us on a 2-turn clock by activating Den and attacking. I think that might be better for them to do, because that just puts us on a 2-turn attack clock. I guess the Bone Crusher does it too with the Den, so it's not that bad. And the Glorybringer kills any 1 blocker. Maybe the Bone Crusher's better, because it's the same amount of pressure next turn with the Den and the Exert. Except you have another creature on the table. I guess this plays around your own Anger of the Gods. Oh my god. What a fucking sicko! I cannot believe you drew this insanely well. I think we might be fine too, because we even get an extra blocker. We get 2 blockers here, otherwise we'd be dead. If they had played Bone Crusher Giant, the Exert would actually force a trade with the Angels too. But now if they Exert, they have to kill Greasefang, and then they're just dead to the Angels. Wow, what a sick game. What a sick game. Mulligan to 5 too. Well sequenced. Got very lucky to win the match, I think. But I think overall, though, well played. A lot of little decisions potentially to be made to make things better. Thank you, sweetie. All right. The I don't think opponent has a way out, so I think the game's over now in our favor. It's so lucky. I love it. Opponent burns a timeout. Usually that means that they're in dire straits. Usually it means they have no outs. People like to sit and think when they're dead. Most of the time, there's no way out. Leaders Trader of Get. Maybe exert on the... What do you even target? Greasefang? You're just dead to the flyers. No blocks. Easy no blocks. And then attack for 4. Huh? Huh? First and foremost, I think that the big takeaway for me is that Stitcher Supplier doesn't do enough. Deadly Dispute and Stitcher Supplier, I think, are just worse than the more aggressive elements. As you can see, most people come really prepared for the Greasefang stuff, and so you're going to have to try to win a fair game a reasonable amount of time. And I personally really like the Seasoned Howl Blades. I think that they're cool, but I think Rafine's Informant is secretly one of the better additions to the deck in the last couple months. If you cut the Stitchers and the Deadly Disputes, that gives you 7 slots. Croxos gives you 9 slots. And then you can just play some cards that are just lighter on the mana. As you can see, the Croxa just wasn't viable in a lot of spots, even from the graveyard, because of the double red. You have so many pathways that the double red's just very hard. The Fables were obviously clutch. Blood Tithe, the Greasefang, all great. Push, Thoughtseize, excellent. Lightning Axe is fine. As for the sideboard, the Rays are good for the mirror, I know. The Abrades are obviously there to kill the hearse, but I think you need to do some research and figure out what matchups will all play the hearse so you know when to bring in the Abrade. The unlicensed hearse are 100% going to be in the Rakdos sideboard. It's one of the best anti-graveyard cards they've ever printed, and it goes right into the deck. Abrade is excellent in the matchup because they have a lot of 3 toughness creatures you can kill as well. The Go Blanks, I don't like boarding them in against mid-range stuff that has very little graveyard stuff. Same with Hearse. I don't think these 3 cards coming against Rakdos basically ever. The Vanishing Versus, if blue-white just doesn't play Rest in Peace, I don't know that this card should be in the deck anymore. It also is a little awkward with the red pathways because of its black-white casting cost. Obviously, if you've been having success with Vanishing Verse, just keep it. That's okay. I don't think Kalidas is that great as a sideboard pivot. I would much rather play like some sort of Planeswalker or something in the spot, like a Chandra, Torch of Defiance. Even more Wandering Emperor is probably okay. I just don't know how good Kalidas is necessarily. I don't love the Wandering Emperor. I think a different Planeswalker here would be better, just because you don't have a lot of things to do it at instant speed, and Wandering Emperor really shines when your opponent is forced to attack into it. So unless there's something very specific that this is for, I don't know that I love having it here. Other than that, though, I think played well. Deck's pretty solid, and overall, I would give you like a B minus. A B minus. Need a little help in the sideboard. Need a little help in some sequencing stuff, but overall, you did very good. So, all right, cool. Thanks.